Hi everyone, it's James here from Pro Tools Expert, and you join me on the beach, quite frankly. We'll get to why so much sand shortly, but it's an absolute pleasure to join Johan Hugo in his, well, what will be your new studio?
Yes.
We've done a lot of stuff on the blog recently, talking about studio builds and projects and stuff like that. And you're, I would say, probably, 70% through?
I thought about this yesterday. I don't know, 80% I was thinking, maybe a bit hopeful. Maybe more realistic in the 70%. I don't know. I mean, the structure of the whole building is here, obviously. The floor is being worked on, hence the sand. Doors are going in.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. Why the sand? Hence the deck chairs, quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, I was trying to be cheap. I got a quote in to put a whole cement slab down for the whole foundation. And it was way more than I was hoping to pay. So me and my dad, who designed the studio together with me and built it, we started thinking about other ways of still having all the walls sitting on the concrete foundation. So basically I don't know if the camera shows it, but there is a concrete foundation local to all the double walls that was poured after the floor. I don't know what you call them in English, you call them sills in Swedish, but when all the original framework went down on the ground, we raised all that, leveled that, put wood around it, so we could pour concrete in local just to the whole foundation that way. And then the idea was to put sand in to level the floor and also use that to raise it, because buying 3 tons of sand is 120 quid and pouring a concrete slab was $2,000.
Yes, yeah.
So, but then 9 days later, the sand still hasn't dried properly.
So hence, it's the end of November, and we're in deepest Margate in t-shirts. It's 30 degrees in here. It's quite balmy. I mean, quite frankly, we've got the beers going. All we need is a little bit of Hawaiian music in the background, and some seagulls, and it's quite beachfront property.
If the windows hadn't gone in, we would have heard the seagulls in the moment. You could hear them up until like last week when the windows went in. Basically, I've had 3 dehumidifiers in here for a bit over a week. It's almost dry now, and then I can move on, flatten it.
And presumably the plan is to whacker plate the living out of it to get it flat and
get it
solid.
as flat and solid as I can. And there'll be a 50 mil acoustic rock wool floor slab going on top of that, and an 80 mil chipboard, and then the oak floor.
So the sand is actually acting as a decoupler, much like the rubber kind of bung type idea would do.
I guess it's like a DIY approach to something. I mean, it obviously decouples to some extent. At the same time, it'll let through vibration to some extent as well. I don't know how well it will work. Because there's nothing around here that should make too much noise to the big concrete foundation that we're sitting on anyway. I'm hoping that it'll be enough. But the reason for the sand wasn't so much to decouple, even though I was hoping they would do that as well. It's more just to get a perfectly level surface and to get up a little bit, because my window is high. I wanted to do anything I could to kind of get myself off the floor a little bit.
So you're in an ex-industrial kind of...
It's actually the old train station.
Oh, right. Wow.
There used to be train tracks right here, and the old industrial trains, or like the...
This is a goods yard type,
yeah, exactly. And they'd roll in here and unload.
Very cool. So the building itself these are not the walls?
No.
This is a room within a room type.
It's in a room within a room within a room. I mean, if you look at, outside of these walls is a huge warehouse. Mm-hmm. And then I basically built a freestanding building inside of that. Apart from behind this wall is a breeze block wall that separates me from the unit next door. Same for this side, obviously to the outside, hence why I had the chance to get a window. But apart from that, it's a room within a room that I built.
And you've then got another partner studio next door.
Yes, Ash Workman is building his studio, which is almost twice the size of this one. He's got builders in there since about a month.
and we can't hear them. So they're either on a tea break, which we know they're not, and it's quiet in here. I mean, you've done a fantastic job on the acoustic of the isolation level of acoustics.
So far, I mean, but 3 layers of plasterboard, a big air gap, all the insulation, and another 3 layers of plasterboard, all like doing all these kind of things. Obviously, going to get rid of all the stuff that we would be hearing in here, unless they maybe start a sledgehammer out there or like jackhammer or whatever it's called. But I mean, the thing is, the fact that the acoustic doors on it and it's just a plywood door that we temporarily put up and it's still so quiet gives me hope at least.
Yeah.
But who knows what happens when the whole thing is a big experiment. It's like by the time both studios are finished and Ash is playing super loud on his huge speakers, it's like, am I going to hear that sub or not? That'll be the big test, but hopefully we won't. But that's the only worry, that we might disturb each other.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty unlikely.
So let's backtrack a little bit. Let's find a little bit out about you, because for those of you who out there have not heard of your work, just tell us a little bit about your methodology, some of the clients you work with, people you work with, and stuff like that.
I started as kind of computer producer when I was a kid. I think my mates had a hip-hop band when I was 12, and my dad got his first PC, and one of my mates, who was kind of the producer of that little hip-hop group, he had Fast Tracker 2, DOS-based old sequencing program.
Yeah.
So he taught me that, and I started making beats, basically. That's how it all started. Music, I was never very musical. I was never had any intention of like making music a career. I wanted to be a nature photographer. I moved to London in 2001, and after a while in London, I was still making music, and I met a guy who used to work at Big Data Records. And we started working together under the name Radio Clit, which was kind of a production DJ duo. And around the same time, they signed Diplo to Big Data. So Diplo started coming to stay in our house and brought all these Baile Funk records when he was out in Brazil. He started going to Brazil. Through that, we started working with him and the early version of his label, Mad Decent, and MIA and Switch and these kind of people. And that's kind of like how I started making a living out of music, basically, DJing and producing. Radio Clit stopped in 2011, and a few years before that, I met a guy from Malawi in East Africa, Essa Mamwaya. We started a band together. He ran a second-hand shop outside my house in East London. And we started a band together called The Very Best, which is still going. And it's kind of like Afro, Euro, weird, I don't know what it is.
Okay, yeah.
It goes from very electronic to full-blown band thing, big harmonies and kind of African melodies. He sings in Chichewa, which is a local language to Malawi. So yeah, through that, I worked with Vampire Weekend and these kind of bands that was kind of like semi-poppy, semi-experimental, semi-worldy, everybody interested in music from all over the world. And it kind of just led on to more writing and production for all types of artists. Not so much band back then, bands. That kind of slowly progressed into more the standard routine of pop writing production, which I did for a few years, which I don't particularly like, and stepped out of as much as I could. And kind of the band thing is something that I moved into over the last couple of years, which it felt like the natural next challenge. I never recorded bands. I don't really know how to do it, but it's like I always kind of look for the things I don't know how to do, and it kind of sets a good challenge. So last year I started working with Mumford & Sons, and we went to South Africa together in January and recorded their Johannesburg EP mini album that came out this year, that I produced and co-wrote with my band as well, The Very Best, and this Senegalese singer, Baba Mal, who I also produced his last record. So it's kind of like I don't know. I do a lot of film and TV stuff at the moment. It's really fun. It's like you're allowed to be really dark and creative. You don't have any A&Rs hanging over your shoulder, like thinking Radio 1 all the time. So I kind of like jump around in the outskirts, I guess, like do slightly weird things, but I like pop music, so it's still something poppy towards it, I guess.
No, it sounds very cool. I had listened to some of the stuff that you've been working on and some of the very best stuff. I went, this is really cool. Very different, but different is cool. I think my musical interests are pretty broad.
Yeah. I think we all are. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, I think I get bored really easily with music, and this is why it's like the same thing. It's like if I feel like I'm starting to understand the pop formula, not that I've had much success in the pop world that I can brag about, but it's like when I start to feel I understand something, then I want to move on to the next thing. Same thing with the kind of TV or film trailer music thing, which I've been doing quite heavily for the last year and a half, which is something that I thought I kind of understood. How it all works and how the build works and how kind of like, but I realized I didn't. I had a great mentor who kind of showed me and taught me everything about it. And that kind of learning curve of really trying to go deep into something that is very different in a way. I mean, more arrangement and kind of like it needs to reach these certain places and crescendos. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this.
It's certainly warm enough in here, that's for sure. This
You both got a bit balmy.
cheers. Yeah, this sand is certainly yeah. It does feel like being on a beach. It's very bizarre. And certainly I've never done an interview quite so laid back.
This is my approach to music generally. I mean, this is the thing. The last very best record we recorded outdoors, partly on the beach in Malawi. We rented this beautiful house 5 hours from the capital, 5 hours from anything really, for 2 months, and we just brought all our stuff, which isn't a lot when we work. Set up studio, recorded a lot of it outdoors, a lot of lead vocals outdoors.
Well, acoustically, it's the best space.
Yeah.
Free field.
And I love kind of what the surroundings bring. You record at night, you're going to get that on the recording.
Yeah.
If you're recording in the daytime, it's like the women and children come down to the beach because they're washing their clothes. And it's like you get something of that in the background. You don't hear so much in the final recording, but it's like, for me, that's like adding the right need compressor would be for another person.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm probably not going to notice that you used it, but it's there as a touch. It's the same, the last Baba Mal record, The Traveler, we did that mainly in Senegal, big portion of it outdoors as well, whether it was on his patio outside of Dakar or way up north by Mauritania. Yeah, so in a way, it's not that foreign. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like sitting here in a beach studio. In a way, it would be more fitting for me to keep a sand floor just as is in here.
Not so great for the gear, though, I suspect.
Yeah, probably not. All my gear has been through it all anyway, but yeah.
So let's talk a bit about toys, because it's always fun to talk about toys. We've done a little bit of it earlier on. So a lot of your work is traveling. So I'm guessing you're laptop-based primarily.
Yeah. I mean, apart from the last year since I moved, or last year and a half since I moved to Margate, I've always had a studio, and I always had a studio at home. So it hasn't been so laptop-based, but there's always a laptop involved. And the last 2 years, doing the Baba Mal record, doing the Mumford record, the last very best record, it's been more and more, it's just become a laptop. And
sort of small interface.
Yeah, Focusrite 1820, which has just been my workhorse. You know,
it's a great,
cheap,
great
easy,
box.
and it survives everything: water, sand, heat. I've never had any problems.
I kind of know how they feel.
So yeah, it's very basic, very minimal mic setup on these trips, obviously, because essentially it's like everything that is sensitive has to go in my hand luggage.
Yeah.
I have a MIDI keyboard with me that is still 49 keys. 49, yeah?
Yeah.
But it just fits in my luggage, and every time I put it in the luggage and check it in, I'm just like, might not survive this trip, but it's still survived until now. So a lot of the time it's a super minimal setup, which is kind of like I've taken in, because I've been doing that for such a long time. That's been brought with me into a studio setup as well. Even when we did the Mumford record in South Africa, we had a Neve desk and SSL desk in the studios we were working.
Was that a Bob?
No, it was in an old broadcasting building. I can't remember what it's called.
They got 3 studios there. One with an SSL, one with a Neve, one with a Focusrite.
No, this is like the old broadcasting building.
Right.
One room, there's a Neve in there, but
Wow.
nobody has. You can see into it, and it's got racks of like tons of old gear. Nobody's been in there for years. The keys are lost.
Oh my God.
So you can see into the control room, but no, you can't get to it. Wow. So then you're in this auditorium, which at the top of the auditorium there's a window, and up there there's a SSL.
Wow.
And so Dan Grech and his assistant flew down prior to us arriving, trying to get everything going. We had a lot of rental gear as well, because we were hoping to run 2 studios, one kind of improvisation, jamming, but also recording. And then the auditorium as a kind of more focused overdubbing and like properly getting into the nitty-gritty of it. And they've been down there for I think 2-3 days by the time we arrived. And they thought they'd just gotten the SSL. I mean, they'd taken it apart. It's like, and a lot
Stripped
of that Apple
down.
gear, a lot of the rental gear even that was rented in wasn't working.
Right, well, that's not good.
So we kind of thought that it was going to work, and we started working. And it's like instantly we realized that it wasn't. And it took us about half a day to realize that there were so many variables wrong with so many things that it was better to just use my Focusrite and have 8 ins, and we did everything in the main room on that.
Wow.
And through some of the preamps and a distressor we had that was working. So a few outboard things, but very selected. And it's where I'm most comfortable. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's amazing when you can have this luxury of all these equipments, but I'm not particularly fast with them. And I want to be really fast, and I want to be able to just get things down and get it good and get the vibe going rather than have something distracting. So because I'm used to work like that, I just prefer to keep it really simple.
So let's get back a little close to home, to sunny 30-degree Margate in November. Obviously, this is very much a work in progress. I think the sound should stay. maybe not the deck chairs, but who knows? But this is very much a multifunctional room. This is not the control room. This is the space, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I never liked, and it's probably because I never really worked. I don't come from like background of working as an engineer or anything like that in studios where it's a control room, live room. So I never got used to it. And even though I spent a lot of time in places like that, I always prefer an open space. I'm really used to tracking with my headphones in, and whether it's a full band or just a singer or an instrument. So I wanted a space that is open, got an amazing vibe, more for writing. Mm-hmm. Obviously I want it to sound good when I'm recording, but the writing and kind of feel-good factor is key.
And the vibe and the aesthetic.
Basically, it's just a room, an open room that will be
it's
sort
about,
of 4 meters by 9, essentially.
Right.
And it'll be, my little station at the end, the normal kind of setup, and a kind of living room, writing, comfortable area in the middle, and instruments area.
Drums and guitars and amps and stuff.
Exactly.
So, but very much based around a kind of a chill out kind of.
Exactly. I mean, I wanted a space where I could record a full band properly. If it's not what I do on a daily basis, but it's like I wanted something like that where I could do that, but where it's super comfortable and very relaxed, and people come in and it's like, okay, this is a nice place. I want to spend time in here. Yeah. Because that's always how I like to work. And if you go anywhere in the world and set up a temporary studio, that's what you got to work with. It's like you build an area where you're all going to hang out for X amount of weeks, and it needs to be super comfortable and feel nice. And then it's like the recording of it comes around that sort of thing.
The vibe comes from the people and the atmosphere rather than from the gear. And
exactly. So, that's the plan basically. And we'll see how it goes. I want to keep it. I want to try to keep the whole thing minimal, a little bit more complex than normal, but it's like, again, minimal. It's like the idea would be to have 2 UAD Apollo 8Ps.
Yep.
So I got 16.
Great unit.
Exactly. So I got 16 analogs in at all time, and it's like the drum kit will always be mic'd. Certain things will always have an input, and it'll be in the same place. Keep it very simple, very fast. That's, again, is the kind of like the key to how I have to work. So that's my kind of ideal scenario of 16 ins, because I know I would never really need anything more than that. And they're just there, hardwired all the time. Like, unless I have to have a patch bay for something really important, I'd avoid a patch bay at all costs. Same thing as like discs. I'd rather not have them if I don't have to.
You wait, now you've got a space that's ripe for the filling with gear.
Yeah. I'm on no gear.
Yeah, you say that now.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll come back in a year and see if you say the same thing.
I mean, for me, it's like, I think it's the laptop approach. It's like, it's just maybe my generation of music, but it's like, I've been talking to Richard Rogers at the Workstation Pro about how to streamline the kind of computer side of it in terms of libraries, and he's trying to convert me into move to PC, which really intrigues me.
I think we're all going to have to sooner rather than later, unless Apple pull something amazing out of the box, which is not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think.
No, I mean, they'd have to do like complete.
So you're thinking about jumping on the PC route. Are you thinking staying Mac for your Apollos, or are you thinking about Vienna Ensemble Pro to link the two together, or is it a kind of hybrid approach and you're still in the planning with Rich? I know he could be scheming with all these amazing technologies.
I mean, this is the thing, you know, and this is kind of the beauty of Margate. I moved down here. I met Rich a few times, but didn't realize quite what he was doing. And then we met at a party a few weeks ago. And this is something I've been thinking a lot about, mainly consolidating libraries and having that work in a really fast way. I didn't even know these things were around. And it's like, we got talking, and it's like, suddenly I realized this is what he does. And he's like, I can customize a thing for you, whether it's just a library computer that runs everything for you at the right speed, or you can make the move to the PC completely, which took me by surprise.
Well, especially now UA have brought out their Thunderbolt 3 drivers, which we'll be reviewing shortly. I mean, I think the time has come, and we kind of touched on this earlier, the time has come for when us as Mac users are going to have to face the metaphorical music, or the actual music, and say, look, are we going to stay on this platform that I'm not going to say is abandoning us, but we're leaving it behind as in what they want to do. And I think, and I'm the last person on earth I ever thought would say this.
I'm the same. And this is like, I've only had a few weeks to kind of start to get my head around this, and I didn't see it coming even. But, you know, I'm open for anything. It's like, whether I'm sitting at a PC or a Mac, once I'm work mainly in Ableton.
Yeah.
And I do everything. It's like I record, I mix, just because that's my fastest way of doing it. I used to be Pro Tools for my recording, then importing it into Ableton, but then it'd take time, and it's like I didn't like that. And
so do you mix in Ableton as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything. I mean, I'm comfortable with Pro Tools, and I'd move into Pro Tools. I wish I mixed more in Pro Tools, because I do like the sound better of it, and I think it's better. But again, for speed, and this is the thing, I don't mix that much. So all my rough mixes is always Ableton.
Yeah.
The last very best record I mixed on Pro Tools in the end. Not that it sounds particularly good, but it's like...
That's amazing, what you
I appreciate that Pro Tools is better sounding. Pro Tools HD.
Again, I think that's an opinion thing. I tend to agree with you.
From Ableton... I mean, it's still an opinion, but from Ableton, I hear a lot of these comparisons. I don't really hear what people are talking about, but I do hear a difference when you just bounce out stems in Ableton, put them into Pro Tools. Just that in Pro Tools HD, I hear a difference. And I don't think my ear is that insane with detail. But anyway, once I'm in Ableton or Pro Tools or whatever, it doesn't matter really to me if I'm on a PC or a Mac. And that's the thing, I think, is like we all gotten very used to the Mac to OS X basically, because we do emails, we do all our stuff on our computers. But if it's just for a computer for the studio that is just for work, then I don't see why I should be against having to go at one of these PCs to see what that can do for me and what kind of speed I can reach.
And because we can tweak it like we used to be able to with the old Mac, you're still wearing a cheese grater, so am I for the time being. We can now tweak a PC like we used to be able to a Mac Pro.
Exactly.
I think I'm the last person on earth who ever thought they would jump back to PCs. Having started there and having a PC, quite frankly, nearly ruined my audio career very early on. It's a long story and one that I'll share at some point, but not right now. But they've changed. I think the platform has matured. I think it's now... I still don't think, genuinely, a machine like a PC, I know this sounds personal, a Windows-based machine, would be as good as an all-rounder. As in, it's the same machine to do your email, to do your video, to do your graphics, to do your audio, as a Mac Pro Tower has been. Because quite frankly, I have been using it for everything.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a PC, you need to say, we're going to do this on it, and we're going to focus that machine down to doing this job.
Yeah.
And I think what Rich is doing at Workstation Pros is that he's basically speccing machines to do a specific job.
Exactly.
And if you want a workstation type machine to do a job, I don't think it matters whether it's got an Apple badge on it or a Dell or a whatever badge on it.
Exactly. I mean, I couldn't care less really. And speed and CPU and all these things, especially with big libraries and plugins, everything is just getting thirstier and thirstier, and the sessions are getting bigger and bigger. Not always, but on a general level. So we got to go somewhere. So this is why it's intriguing me, and I'm super curious to see what Rich will put together and put in the studio for me, and I'm sure I'll be blown away and things will change.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is that the gear at the, should we call it the blunt end, as in like the tape end of things, is changing all the time. But I think the funny thing is that the other end of the chain, the mics and things like that, aren't really changing that much. You and I are both big fans of that wonderful British company Sontronics, aren't we?
Indeed.
The guys, Trevor and Lisa, are making some fantastic microphones.
Yeah, amazing. And Paul Epworth introduced me to them probably 8-9 years ago. And they gave me a prototype of one of the new mics, which is still not out, so I'm not going to say what it is, because I don't know if they want people knowing that. I don't know if it's ever come out. But
who knows?
It was amazing, and I was blown away straight away. And then in the end, I ended up buying a lot of the mics, or a few of the mics. And it's kind of my staple, the Saturn.
You're a Saturn fan, yeah. I'm a massive Saturn fan.
And I use the Saturn for everything. I've gone through two now. I had a lightning strike it in Malawi once, and blew it.
Now that's gonna fry a mic.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, didn't fry the Focusrite Scarlett.
Wow.
Didn't fry my computer, but took the mic. It actually didn't fry the mic. It did something very strange, and Lisa and Trevor looked at it long and hard, and we had a lot of problems figuring out what'd gone wrong with it.
Right.
So in the end, I think they just gave me a new one.
Yeah.
But they've been amazing, and the Saturn is like in my studio and in my travel setup. I got a Saturn, I got a SM7,
Yep.
and I got the Sontronics stereo pair, the little condensers,
The STC1.
Yeah. which I love as well.
Great for overheads, great for acoustic neck mic on acoustic guitar with a Saturn as the body. Yeah.
It's like if I'm in Senegal for a Baba Ma record or something, and we get 20 percussionists in, it's like I'll mic everything I can in different ways, but they're always amazing to put up from a bit of distance to just kind of catch the stereo.
Yeah.
And I used them a lot for, especially the Baba Ma record. Baba Ma actually ended up buying a set for his studio that I helped him buy out there, and a Saturn.
My favourite Saturn trick is use a Saturn, a pair of Saturns, as an MS pair,
Yeah.
as a room mic or as a distant stereo mic. Oh my god! Best drum room sound I've ever had, and I'm no expert at MS or anything like that. I don't use an MS configurator or anything like that. I actually do it the old-fashioned way, where you duplicate and invert. And,
Yeah.
And just the best.
Until we spoke about it today, I'd never really thought about the stereo pairing of the Saturns, but it's like it makes so much sense because it is my favorite mic, and to have two
Pair
of
of
them,
overheads, an MS pair for room mic. If I do a live recording now, where I go out with, so we're talking about the Apollos. If I take a set of Apollos out, string quartet I did the other day was an overhead mic for each instrument and a Saturn pair.
Yeah.
And it just sounded incredible. Absolutely. Most of the sound of the recording is the pair of room mics with a little bit of lift just for the instrument mics. It sounds amazing.
Yeah. I'm super curious about the Aria, it's called, right? Yeah. I still haven't tried it.
You should.
Yeah.
You won't want to give that one back.
No. I was spoken to them. I'm hoping, I think they might lend me a bunch of mics to get my drum kit up and go in. And
So this is not a Sontronics advert, but I'm a major Sontronics fan. I love their drum mics. The tom and snare mics are amazing. The DM1B.
I haven't used them, so I'm really curious. But this is the thing. I've never I haven't recorded a whole lot of drums in my days, and even like the Mumford & Sons record, their drum tech came in with 2 kits for every session, set them all up. It's like me and the engineer would mic them together. And it's like, I'm not the guy who's going to be like, no, I'll put that mic an inch to the left or right. It's like, whether it's Marcus Mumford or the drummer Chris Mass playing, I know that they know what they're doing when they want their sound to sound right. And I'm just like...
They hit the drum and it makes the sound they want to make.
So I'm not nerdy about these kind of things at all, or precious. So, but I'm very curious to see what a full Sontronics drum mic setup would sound like. I don't even know what drum kit I would have yet. I'm talking to a few companies to see if somebody would let me.
Something new or something vintage?
I would love to have something vintage. I would say I work a lot with this amazing soul singer called Pepper Rose, and I also co-manage her together with my manager.
Because we could go down the whole rabbit warren of drum talk,
But this is the thing. I know you're a drummer, but it's like everything you say will go over my head. So but so this is the thing. It's like I got a few key drummers that I really like, and I'll ask them. It's like, what should I have for this? It's like I don't know drums.
Right.
Even though like programming drums is probably my favorite thing, but like real drums, I'm really new to. And
scared.
But it's like
I can't program. I really genuinely cannot program drums. I can set up a kit, tune it, mic it, and record it quicker than I could ever program.
Yeah, I think this will give you an idea of how basic my drum kit understanding is, or like how willing I am to compromise. We just recorded a new Very Best EP, and we did part of it in Ted from Mumford & Sons. He's got a little basement studio, and he's got God knows what kit it is, but he's got a little kit in there. Yeah. Very simple, but no mics on it.
Right.
And our filmmaker guy who's been with us for 2 years with the Very Best, Dave East, he's actually a drummer. Right. So we were like, oh, Dave, why don't you play some of your drums? And I was holding an SM58 against the kit, and he played drums on 3 of the songs. And that was kept as but it's like an underlaying thing with all the program drums. And that kind of sits there mainly for the cymbals and a bit of hi-hat and some extra tom hits and stuff.
And it's
I can treat that and I can treat that in the computer to make it sound good. But that's the thing, it's like I don't have to walk into a studio where it's like every amazing mic is sitting on this amazing vintage drum kit, and that's how I need it to be happy with my drums. It's like you put a toy kit in the corner and give me one mic.
If it's the right sound,
I can figure out how to do something with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, God knows. I mean, this is the thing. It's like I've been for 2.5 months now building this place. Is taken over everything. It's only in the last sort of week while this sand has been drying that I've even had a chance to start thinking about the stuff I'd like to have in here.
Right.
And, a lot of money is going into buildings, so not a lot of money is left over for equipment right now. And because I'm building something much bigger than I've had before, so I'm going to need a lot of stuff. But yeah, drums is one of them that needs to come in, and be figured out. I would love to have an upright piano in here. Luckily, I got a lot of guitars, and Fender has been amazing.
Yep.
To the very best, and to me, and they've given me some special things for the studio as well. And the main guitarist, songwriter that I work with a lot in the very best and on everything is this guy called Cher. He plays guitar for Damon Albarn and used to do it for Paloma Faith. Amazing bass and guitar player. And I got he owns a lot of stuff, and I got a lot of it. So a lot of that will go in here.
Live in here.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think a lot of the things that comes in here in the end, apart from like the monitoring setup, which I'm yet to figure out, a lot of things will be other people's things that are probably in storage with them.
Yeah.
And they might have, everybody's been super supportive and just, what are you missing? What do you need? What can we help out with?
Likewise, if we can help out in any way, pointing you in the right direction with people, then,
it'd be amazing.
I suspect you're fairly well connected as already, but Johan, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting us to the beach. I'd love to come back when you're a bit closer to finished and
come back I go to India on New Year's Eve. What is it today?
29th, I think.
29th. So I got a month left. I have to have this finished, ready to work in on New Year's Eve when I go. So when I come back on the 6th of February, because I've been out of work for like 4 months by then, I have to get back to work. So it's like the plan is, so by February, it might not be every piece of kit in here, but it needs to be working studio because I need to get back to work. So
awesome.
You can come back anytime.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for having us today. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Have a very happy Christmas and festive season.
You too.
And we'll see you again soon, very soon, for some more gear talk.